So today I was on the call with Donald and our group, and it was Donald Stojak asks interesting questions. And being that he is my adopted dad, my soul dad, who likes to point out people's greatness, he decided to highlight me. He decided to pick on me. And Donald, I totally like it's okay. You can pick on me. I'm not that shy little wallflower that I was almost 4 years ago who was still nervous about being on camera. I have completely blossomed. I have risen from the ashes of my previous life and I am the phoenix. I have embodied that. I started to recognize it back in 2020 and I have embodied it ever since. And one of the things that we did during this call was similar to what I've noticed. I have my 5 pillars. I call it the right support. Having those people who truly see you, honor you, recognize the strengths that maybe you overlook in yourself, or maybe you do see them, but you don't see them from the same perspective. And even though I was asked, well, what is your secret sauce? And I know my secret sauce. I'm perfecting my secret sauce right now in what I do. I have taken my concept of my 5 pillars and I've broken it down into the right support in all 5, and I can go deep with each one. And then there's another method that I have, which is called the Phoenix effect, in which you basically go through the darkness to find the light. And I do this also with partners too, is that there's that issue with the partner being the wild card in birth. Because even if mom is all resourced, all it takes is for her rock to crumble and be absolutely useless. And sometimes there are really, really useless rocks, and you have to just do it alone. But when I was coaching my clients, I kind of had that wince in my heart because I knew that I didn't have that rock. I had to birth my children basically on my own. Even when my partner was there in the room with the first one, utterly useless picking me up onto the bed and following the medical system, which is why I tell my clients, it's like, if your partner doesn't work through their stuff, if we don't get them on this call and they don't know how to fully support you and they haven't worked through everything, they're going to pick you up on the bed, even though you don't want to be on there. And they're going to start following the medical system. Like they're not going to follow your lead. And one of the things is that partners need to follow the lead of the one who is birthing. We have to have that space held for us. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So if they're afraid and they're doubting you and they're pushing you a certain way, it just screws the whole thing up. This is why I say my 5 pillars, you have to have all 5. The most important ones are the ones on the outside. Most people think it's in the middle. They think it's just getting the right environment. They think that getting the birth education is enough. They think that if they are able to advocate strongly for themselves, that's going to be enough, but it's not. It's the other 2, the right mindset and the right support. Particularly, why the right support? Well, because no matter how strong you are in working through your mindset, if you don't have that bookend of the pillar of the right support, your mindset, there's a point where you're going to go and you're going to face that fire that's there. And you're going to be like, no, this is too scary. I want to go back. Now you can't go back because what's back there. It's all darkness. It's all gloom, but you also know that on the other side, there's light on the other side of that wall of fire, but you have to go through that fire. You have to be willing to burn up. You have to be willing to go through that pain and feel it in order to be reborn. And you can't do that without the right support. Now, I'm going to call out one of my brothers, Chris. If you're watching this later or now, you're asking for a map, dude, I'll give you the map. I'll give you the map in this because, you're probably going to be facing some challenges in your life. And as my brother, who held so much space for me when I was going through my own wall of fire, I just have to say thank you. I wanted to say this on the call for VCA today, but I mean, we didn't have the time to be able to do it, but I'm going to reflect this so that everybody knows that Chris Hasse is just the most amazing big brother that I've ever adopted in my life. He has really stood for me. He has shown me just how powerful I am, how much love I have to give, how incredible like these friendships between men and women can just be, like, without any of that other stuff. And like, Chris, you are going to get the most incredible woman, and I am going to make sure that she treats you right. Little sis is not going to put up with anything less than the best for you. So you're going to get your true love if I have to kick your ass to do it. And at the same time, here's the math. All right. I'll even tell it through story, because so many of my friends on the call, Tony especially, because we did the podcast together, said it best. It's like, I teach through story. Yes, I do. I teach through inspirational stories. So I'm not going to go into too many details because this is still personal, but I am going to share a little bit of the fact that I have been timid. I have been scared. I have wanted things in my life, and I've known that I've been deserving of those things. I've had the right mindset about it the whole time. And I have another method in order to work through those blocks where I write out what I'm feeling and I work through any fears that come up. And then I go and work on another project to get my mind off of it. And then the insight will come to me while I'm doing that other project. And then in addition to that, sometimes it's like, you know what? This is just so much for me. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to rest. I'm going to recharge. I'm going to take care of myself so that I can feel more resourced to tackle this thing. It's all about going through that fire. And there is a way of figuring out whether you actually want to go through that fire or not. And it's the simple thought of asking yourself, well, if I stay in this darkness and I never go through that fire, and maybe I take this path over here that's around the firewall, but not going through the firewall, and I'll go and take an alternate path. Am I forever going to regret not going through that fire? Because you have to go through the fire. And this is why birth is a metaphor for life. This is why I keep saying birth is a metaphor for life. So many people think that if birth is painful and terrifying, then they need to go somewhere else and they need to just go get the thing that's easier. For some, they think that a C-section is just going to be the easy way out. For others, they think that it's too scary to stay pregnant because of some might possibly maybe happen statistic. So they go and induce and they go through that pain and that trauma. And then they end up with the C-section. For some, they're like, oh, I'm going to get the epidural at 4 centimeters. I don't want to go through that pain. But by not doing that, by not actually experiencing childbirth, something precious is lost. Something sacred is lost. The initiation into motherhood, the transformation into motherhood. There is just something about an empowered birth, no matter how it actually ends up happening, that when my clients take their power back, suddenly they start looking at every other aspect of their life and what's not working, and they go through that fire and they rise up like the phoenix into a greater version of themselves. They go and change careers, they build businesses, they change relationships. For me, like, I had this empowered birth with my daughter. I rose up from the ashes and I started speaking more. I started speaking out more than I'd already had. Like, I'd already had that fight with my son to be able to have that experience. But with my daughter, I fully reclaimed everything. And I recognized my relationship wasn't really what I thought it was. I had had this dream in my head, but what I had in my head for my dream and what he had for his dream was not It wasn't going to work. I could also see that it was attachment, not true love, not true authentic love. Like, I could appreciate him as a human, but I could not work through any of what he wanted. It just was so incongruent with who I was. And we had this battle back and forth of like ideals with our children. It's like, I don't want my kid to turn into you. Well, I don't want my kid to turn into you. Back and forth. And it's like, no, it doesn't work. So I recognized, because I came from a family of divorce, and I'd always been grateful that my parents had split up. And in the back of my mind, I also said, I'm never going to get divorced. That was my wall of fire. I'm never going to get divorced. I can't. There's no way I can do that. I don't want to be a single mom. That's terrifying. Until I realized a dream, and it started to happen slowly over the course of 2020, but it really happened when my house burned down. My house burned down in 2019 on November 11th. And I literally rose up from ashes because my business, everything that I'd been working towards, everything that I thought I wanted was now gone. It was melted. There was only a little bit on a Google Drive. And my relationship with my partner had completely fallen apart. I mean, you go out and like you're going on a convention and you find out that your partner, while you were away, not only did he go and see the one person you told him not to go see, but then he got her pregnant. Like, serious trauma. But I'm used to trauma. It's one of my secrets. And a lot of people, they're like, well, she's so happy. She's so bright. There's a quote. I don't know the exact quote, but it's that those who have gone through the greatest hardships and struggles and had those moments, as Donald even said, it's like the moments of sheer profanity, those are the ones that are the brightest, that shine and rise up the most, and they're the most powerful. And it's true. So part of the process, when I have somebody who is like, I have been traumatized, but I want this dream. Part of my secret, my method, if you will, you can write this down. Go ahead, write this down. It is taking everything you're afraid of, everything you don't want to happen, all your greatest fears and worries and insecurities and anxieties about the thing that you want. You write those down. So in the context of birth, it's like, okay, write down all the things you're worried about when it comes to childbirth. What don't you want? In the context of leaving my relationship, was what are all the things I don't want to happen as a single mom? Well, I had a long list. It's like, I don't want to be working 3 jobs and never see my kids. I don't want to miss out on their assemblies and their special days. And I don't want to have to like have them raised by somebody else. I don't want to be like financially struggling. I don't want to have all my dreams crumble up. I want my book out there. So I don't want to see my dreams crumble because now I don't have a partner to support me. I need to make sure that my dreams are still coming true. I don't want to be stressed and sad and alone. I don't want to feel old and used up and worthless because I've got 2 kids and who's going to want me? And I started writing all of those fears. And then this is the counterintuitive that most people don't get because they stay stuck in that fear and they look at all those fears and they're like, well, maybe because I'm so afraid, I'll go over here instead where it's easier. No. You go through that fire. You take every single one of those fears. You look at them and you say, well, what if that thing happens? How can I be okay if that thing happens? How can I still manage to have it be a good experience, or at least appreciate the experience for what it is if that thing happens? And something that I really didn't want happening did happen way back in September. And it was also the most beautiful thing. It was the most beautiful experience. Brief as it was the most beautiful powerful experience that if that thing hadn't happened, I wouldn't have that memory of that beautiful experience. So you can take even beauty in something painful. You can find something beautiful in the pain of it. I'm actually grateful that my partner cheated on me and got another woman pregnant. It was beautiful. It's painful as hell. And it was also beautiful because I was able to see that this isn't love. This really isn't love. This thing that I was hanging on to was not it. And it was okay that it wasn't it. It was okay if I left. It was okay if I started to work on myself. It was okay. And I could do that. Because if it's not love, if it's not true love, what am I really holding on to? Well, I went into that darkness. I went into the darkness of being the Stepford wife and staying in that relationship and just so that I would have someone. And I'm like, it's not worth it. And it really isn't. When you recognize, like, well, what if I go and do the easy thing? I take the easy way out and I never go to this stream. Never. Like, I put it in a little box in the corner and I don't look at it or try not to look at it. But guess what? You're going to look at it. Even if you try to keep that box locked up, what happens is that a song comes on or a TV show comes on, something comes on, something will remind you in those dark moments or in even those light moments, something will remind you of that dream. Maybe somebody else has it and you're looking and you're like, damn, I wish that was me right now. I wish that was me. I want that. And I mean, I had seen that even when I was trying to take my rest. I had seen that. And there comes a moment when it is just so much pain. Looking at those fears, and you see it as a wall of fire. And then you also have looked at the dream that you could have on the other side of it. So first part is you draw up all your fears and anxieties and all the things that you're thinking, it's like, this is why it's not going to work. And then you go to the other side. Well, what if this thing does happen? Okay, well, then I would do this. Oh, I would do this. Oh, I would do this. How can you get closer to the point where you're like, you know what? I could probably overcome this challenge to get to this dream outcome that I want. It may not be exactly as I'm picturing, but it's going to be way closer than if I try to go over here and not go after my dream at all. So you go through that. Then there comes a moment when you're asked, and one of my friends, Annie Lala, one of my mentors, she had even said, it's like you go 99% in, you want it, you say you want it, but then there's that 1%. That 1% is usually one of those fears holding you back, or a whole wall of fire holding you back. And you have to ask yourself, are you going to go through that wall of fire to get, like, to put all your, it's like, I'm all in on this. Like, this is happening. And I will go through all of the fire. And I don't care if there's another wall of fire. I will go through that wall of fire because I am not giving up on this dream. It is more precious even than like life itself. I mean, if you have a child, how many walls of fire are you going to go through to get to your child? Or are you going to let your child die? You're not, right? So it's the same thing. How many walls of fire are you going to go through to make sure that it's all worth it in the end? Because that is the key. It has to be worth it. It has to be worth the suffering for in order to transform that suffering, that pain, into ecstasy. I mean, did you know there's such thing as orgasmic birth? I mean, literally, there is a book right here, Orgasmic Birth. Do you know what the secret is to turning those painful, awful contractions at the height of that pain into just pressure that you can deal with and even transform it further if you really know how, if you really have all the support? It's going through and feeling it and opening yourself up to it, not resisting it. The more you resist it, the more it hurts. The more you tense up and fear it, the more it hurts. When I let go and started just riding that wave, it didn't hurt. That's how I was able to do childbirth without even having a doula there, without having any medication. I didn't even have the rock. Okay. My ex, I told the story a few times on various different like my YouTube channel and everything, when I tell moms about the right support and how their partner's a wild card. I had category number 5. There's 4 categories of partners and why they resist or why they screw up and not get to be the right support. And mine was category number 5. Category number 5 is the person who, I'm not going to say they're bad and wrong. I am going to say that their motivations are not altruistic, and their motivations are, I don't want to say self-centered, and I don't want to make it bad and wrong again. At the same time, you would be like, what the fuck? The reason my ex really enjoyed the idea of a home birth was because he could go to the liquor store at any point. And he did. When I was in labor, he decided he wanted to go to the liquor store and he left me. So I was alone laboring and I was okay. I'm just going to say that. I wasn't, it's not, oh no, you were all alone for your labor. No. Don't feel sorry for me. I honestly didn't want him there because again, category number 5 can be a drain. Which is why I say again, you need the right support. So how do you have that courage to go through that fire? And how do you know that this dream of yours it's worth it? Well, first of all, even if you go through all of the education and you plan your environment for it to try to make it happen, and you also have that safety net and you have those professionals and you have your mindset, you think you've got it. You think you've got your fears all nailed out. You don't have the right support of friends and family who can get it, who truly stand for your dream, understand your dream, maybe not fully, but they can understand it's important to you and they're not going to let you play small, and they will tell you things that maybe you don't want to hear. Like one of my dear friends and mentors telling me that I have a fear of intimacy. That was a fun one. Or telling me that I'm playing small and I need to get out of my own way and I need to stop procrastinating on something. Or the ones that told me your partner is abusive. No, I don't want to believe that. No, your partner does not love you. No, I don't want to believe that. No, but it's true. If he did, he wouldn't do this to you. You're broken. You're being controlled. You're being hurt. No, I'm fine. No, you're not. You're not fine. I love you enough to tell you that you're not fine here. You are afraid. You are going to be holding yourself back. You are self-sabotaging right now. You are not standing for your true values. You do actually want this thing that you keep saying is not a big deal. You do want it. And I'm not going to let you just sit here and give up. I'm not going to do that. So the right support and what I do even with my clients and with my friends, I mean, they know you're going to hang out with me. I'm going to push you into your greatness. And I am going to see where you are self-sabotaging, and I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to let you tear yourself down in front of me. You can have your bitch fit. I call it a bitch fit. You can have your bitch fit. You can have your crying moment. Hey, as much as you think that I am this pillar of light, I mean, some of you might have caught some of my videos where I was not. I was upset. And you still only saw the tip of the iceberg because I'd already worked through a lot. And I was transforming my pain into light in that moment. But even last night, and even like, not even like a couple of hours before I got on the call with Donald and our group, I was crying my eyes out. I was having that moment. Now, I used to suppress those feelings. I used to be like, no, no, no. I don't need to cry over this. This is ridiculous. I'm just going to do something else. I'm not going to put up with this. And I don't do that no more. I'll cry. I will cry as much as I need to cry, because it is through the crying and the bitch fit and the profanity and giving the space and the reverence for that rage, for that anger, for that frustration, for that fear, for all of those feelings that we've been told are bad and wrong. The darkness in us, if you will. Loving that darkness, embracing that darkness, having reverence for that darkness, encouraging that darkness, the unbridled passion of that darkness. We pretend we're just all light, but even the lightest of souls are drawn to the darkness. And there's a reason for that. And I'd come up with that when I was a teenager, that the light and the dark, one cannot exist without the other. So part of the secret method is you go through the darkness and you go deep into the darkness. You don't shy away from the darkness. You don't try to gloss over the darkness. No, you have to look at every single one of those dark things, all those fears, all those what if scenarios. You have to look at them. You have to face them. Then you transform them into light. And then once you have done that, you're willing to go through the fire. You're willing to burn up. You may not know exactly what's on the other side and who you'll be, but you do know that it's worth it. And then what happens, this is the magic of it, is that you're just like, oh my gosh, this is even better than what I thought. Truly. And in order to do that, though, you got to have other people holding you in that darkness, not letting you shy away from it. Because if you just try to do it all on your own in your mindset, you're going to go into la 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 fairyland or dark, gloomy, depressing land and stay there. But if you have other people suddenly coming in and being that light and also being willing to be in that darkness, because if you're in your darkness, somebody else has to be in the darkness with you, but also know how to transform it into light. But first, they've got to be in the darkness. You can't come in when somebody's all dark and just shine light on them. It doesn't work. And if you're in your light, you can't have people that just want to throw darkness at you. No, you have to have like mostly light to light and mostly darkness to darkness, but having that little degree of light or that little degree of darkness to be able to either bring out a fear that someone is pretending they don't have, like what my friends have done for me. And Chris, you did this for me too. Annie did this for me. Donald's done this for me. Like, got so many friends who have done this for me. Basically showing me, no, for all your talk about how you want this thing, there's a part of you that's really terrified right now. We're going to speak to that part, because that's why you didn't take that action, is because you're terrified. And you know you're terrified. And I can see it by the way that you're going, yep, yep, you got me. You got me. Okay, yep. All right. Yes. Okay. All right. All right. All right. I'll do the thing. You're right. Okay. All right. Yeah. I got more work to do. All right then. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like, I needed that. As much as it probably is like, I'm going to piss her off and she's a Scorpio and she's going to get pissed off. No, I don't do that no more. If there's truth to what they're saying, and I know it's mostly love, it's coming from a place of love. It's not coming from a place of criticism and making me wrong. I'm going to listen to it. It's like, yeah, you're right. No, you're right on that. I do want that thing. Yeah. And I am scared. Or if it's the other one, the doom and gloom, it's not going to work. I might as well give up. No, 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 no. I remember the unbridled passion at which you talk about this. And you're going to lose that fire if you keep trying to play small. Okay, yeah, you're right. No, I really do want this. You're right. Okay, I'm going to go for it. So that's what I do with my clients. It's what I do with my friends. It's what I've always done. But what I never did is I never really did it for myself until I had no one. Till I had no one left. And that is why pillar number 5 is the most important. Because everybody has that little bit of light that they can shine into that darkness for someone else to help them get their light back, their flame, and reignite it. And at the same time, light can't exist without the dark. If you aren't aware of what could put out your flame, then that is a problem. You need to have both. You need to be able to spot the dangers, and you also need to be able to have that audacity to dream big for someone else. So, to all of my friends, everyone who has shown me how powerful I am going to remind you that you are just as powerful. When you see me in my brilliance and you are just in awe of the mess that I have climbed out of, I am going to remind you that it was you who also helped me. Because even when I am helping you through your darkness, even when I am shining that light on you, and you are reflecting it back at me and telling me I am amazing and wonderful, and I am just a stand for your greatness, and I'm just this pillar of light, remember, please, that you doing that small thing is not a small thing. Chris, my brother, what you said to me last year when we had barely known each other, and I picked you because I had this intuitive knowing that you would hold space for me, and you didn't know me enough that you would know what I was talking about. I trusted you. You have held that trust for me, my friend, and I appreciate you. And that is why you are going to have the most magnificent woman for you, who is going to stand for all your dreams, because you can already hold space for women in your life. You can already hold space for your little sister. And I'm not easy. As much as you say it is, I have feelings. And, like, this is really a tribute to you. This is really a tribute to you, my friend. And, like, when you find that woman, I'm going to be endorsing you big time to her. And I'm going to be watching her. I'm going to be making sure that she really does see you. Because if she doesn't see you, well, she's either going to see you or she's going to go away. And that's for everybody. Everybody. One of the biggest things about the right support is that with my clients, especially I said it, the partner's the wild card. If you don't have the right partner, it all falls apart. And I can teach women to do this without the partner if they really have to. At the same time, I have seen the transcendent experience of watching two couples who are very much in love, and they ended up with these incredible empowered births, even when it didn't go exactly to plan, and even when it did, but seeing the relationship transform. And it's not just about birth. It's about raising the next generation in a more conscious way. Because every child we have is they're part of the future. So if a child is born to two parents who don't get along and don't know how to love properly in that moment, and that child grows up and sees that messed up pattern, that child ends up latching on to the wrong support for way too long. And they get stuck in their fear, and they see something incredible and they want it, and something holds them back because they can't trust it. And they take their time trying to learn it, to understand, it's like, is this actually possible? There's way too many of that, because I see it. All these women who have given up on love, given up that men can ever be as incredible as the men that I have in my life. My brothers, my uncles, my dads, my grandfathers, all of them. They don't see that. So, to the men out there, especially the ones that are already in amazing partnerships, talk about your wives with reverence and have other men hear it, and more importantly, other women hear it, how much you love your wife, because then they're going to be like, oh, I want that. Why can't I have that? Where is that? But it's the more you do it, the more I'll see it. Which is again why I do what I do with my birth empowerment. So many stories of trauma, so many thoughts that you have to leave your dignity at the door, so many thoughts that you have to sacrifice your dreams on the altar of motherhood. And I am standing for the fact that there's actually possibility that you don't have to do any of that, even as a single mom. I faced my fear. I went through the wall of fire for my birth. I went through the wall of fire when it came to divorce. And I also went through the wall of fire when it came to recognizing what I truly want in a true love partnership. And until I get that, I'm not going to go in any other direction, because I know that that wall of fire that I faced, thanks to the right support, the reflections of myself, my greatness, and also my darkness, my fear, from other people who truly love me, truly want the best for me, and truly can reflect that. That's what you need. That's the secret. Now, I have so much deeper when it comes to just that one pillar of the right support, and so much deeper when it comes to the mindset of it and facing fear. And I've been working on those things too. In fact, I think I might work on some more courses. That is, if something doesn't happen to convince me to take a little bit of a rest, since I have been doing so much, I'm just inspired. I'm just inspired. And part of the inspiration, again, comes from the right support that I had. When I was in my darkest time, way back in 2020, the friends I have now, the mentors I have now, they saw me in a way that I couldn't see myself yet, but they saw that magic in me, and they loved it up in me, and they brought it out in me. They said, it's been here all this time. You just didn't see it, but here's your magic, and here you are. And now I can talk on anything. If somebody just wants to put a camera in my face and have me talk on the subject and prompt me, I'll do it. Seriously. And there used to be a time when I'd be like, no, I'll write behind the scenes, and I'll write the script for you, but somebody else needs to say this. Like, I literally did that. I used to write scripts to try to get other people to say the things that I wanted to be said. Not anymore. I'll talk anywhere. So there's beauty in the dark. There's beauty in silence. And when you go out there and you really sit in that silence and in that darkness, you really befriend it. It's not so scary anymore. Then you can find the light. You find the inspiration. You rise up like the phoenix. You be willing to go through that wall of fire, burn away the old you, rise up. And then, if you're like me, then you also can take all of that pain and all of the oppression and all of the things that kept you down. Not only are you a phoenix, but you're also a dragon. And the dragon burns away all of those old obstacles. I'm just not going to turn into Daenerys and burn down King's Landing. I'm not going to do that. But there were a few people in that show that totally, I was cheering for her when she's like a dragon that's not a slave. And you better believe that as light as I am, as beautiful and guardian angel, as someone said, as I am, I'm also strong. Because when you have an empowered birth, you're an empowered mom for life, and no one can take your power away from you again. And a mother is not just all love and nurture, she is also fierce. And when it comes to protecting her children and her legacy, she will fight to the death to protect them. It's just how we are. People forget that. And I guarantee you, there is darkness in you too. What are the things that you would fight to the death to protect? That's where the magic lies. All right. I think I've talked enough for today. Probably given you a few maps. You're probably going, oh my gosh, like there's so much here. And like, I don't know where to start. Yeah, I know. I have my map, and I also like to free flow. So if you want to put your own map together with what I said, you can. And Chris, you're good at that. Okay. Like you're my brother. You can figure out what I've got. And I mean, I already have a map, but you know, and yeah, just remember it's all darkness and light. That's really the essence of it. It's darkness and light. That's why I'm here. I'm a Scorpio. I'm literally birth, death, healing, and transformation. Like all of it. So it makes sense. All right. So that's all I have for you today. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.